So we'll be talking about alpha beta pruning, which is part of the adversarial search technique. In addition, we will start a new topic, which is constraint satisfaction problems. Okay, so let's take a quick look at what we discussed last time. We had gradient descent. We spoke about how this was applicable in neural networks. What are the issues in learning if R was too small or too large? And then we started talking about adversarial search. We looked at the game of tic-tac-toe, the concept of zero sum, and then we looked at a two-ply game. And we looked at the concept of a minimax game, okay, a minimax algorithm. And we talked in detail about that. And then we also spoke about a stochastic game, right? Now, at the end, we mentioned that the complexity can become pretty large. Okay, so for example, if you look at the game which was played against Kasparov by IBM, it went up to 40 plies, which means it went to a depth of 40. And now we know that in chess, the branching factor is, about 35. How did you come with that number? That's based on experience, okay? But you can imagine that you can have different moves, and each one of those moves can be quite, for example, the queen can move in half a dozen different directions. So the total number of possible branches could be quite large. So if you have 35 to the power 40, you can imagine the complexity of a minimax algorithm, okay? Even though the space may not be very large because it's doing depth first, but the amount of time could be extremely large. So if you look at this particular example, so the question is, can one improve this? Okay, so if you look at, for example, a 4-ply game, can you improve this algorithm? And can you think of ways that the minimax algorithm could actually be improved? So remember, what were we doing? We had players which were termed as max, min, max, and min. And min was basically what was it trying to do? It was trying to look for a way to defeat the opponent, which was max. And it would select 3 over here, this would select 2, and so on. And then max would try to select the better of the two, would select 3, okay, and so on. So the question is, do we need to actually search through the entire graph to be able to find the optimal solution? Or do you think that there is a possibility that we could have some shortcuts? Ji. Okay, so what you're basically hinting at the right direction, that there's a possibility that maybe if you've selected some number over here, it's possible that looking at parts of the remaining tree may be irrelevant. Okay, G. Yeah, so I think both of you are probably hinting at the right issue. And let's take a look at this particular problem. So here it says that, do we need to evaluate X? Okay, so if you look at this, we're trying to minimize between these two. And so the minimum value over here, the minimax value is 2, all right? And here, the minimax value, you start by searching. So you looked at both of these directions, and you got this particular value. Then you looked at this value over here, this branch, and you realized that the minimum value was going to be 1 or less. Okay. Now the question is, do we need to evaluate this particular branch of the tree? Why not? Because if X, let's say, is less than 1, then we already, Max has already found a solution. It's going to pick the bigger of the two. So it's already got 2. Okay. So if X is less than 1, it's again irrelevant. If X is greater than 1, then what's going to happen? If X is 2 or 3 or so on, what's going to happen over here? The min is actually going to choose the smaller of the two, and it's going to choose 1. Okay, so the number over here, the minimax value over here is going to be less than equal to 1. Okay, if it's less than equal to 1, what about A? What is it going to decide? It has to choose the maximum of either 2 or a number which is less than equal to 1. So clearly, A's minimax value is going to be 2. Does everybody follow that? Okay, so sometimes you don't need to evaluate parts of the tree. Now let's take a look at another case. So for example, here you have, let's say you have 1 and 10. You're evaluating from left to right, and you have minimum of 3, 2. Okay, and this will become minimum of 3, 2, which will become 2. So this will become max of 2. All right, so this is not going to be relevant. It's going to be 2, and then it's going to select a number y, and y is going to be less than or greater than what? So let's say this value is reflected as y, okay? And we're saying we replace 10 with the number x. We don't really know what the number 10 is. It's some variable x, okay? So if you replace this minimum value with y, can you put a condition for y? Y is going to be less than equal to 1, right? So if y is less than equal to 1, then what is this going to be equal to? It's going to be maximum of 2 and a number y, and y is less than equal to 1. So clearly the answer is 2. Okay? G. So I'm just introducing it for ease of understanding. You don't have to introduce it. You're right. But let's take a look at the same example. But now what I've done, I've reversed these two conditions. So minimum 1, 10 is on the left, and minimum 3, 2 is on the right. Okay, so we again doing left to right evaluation. So think back to your tree, and the tree is going left to right. Okay, so here what's going to happen is we're going to say maximum of minimum 1, 10, which is what? 1, and the minimum of 3, x. And let's say 2 is, we need to decide whether this particular value, which can be referred to as x, whether that needs to be evaluated or not. Last time we didn't have to evaluate this particular value, right? Now the question is, does this x value have to be evaluated? And so what is the condition for y now? Less than equal to 3, right? Because what we're saying is that y is the minimum of 3, x. Okay, so it's going to be a number which is going to be less than equal to 3. Now, if y is less than equal to 3, what do we know the answer to be? Can we state what the answer is? Sorry? So the answer is going to be 1 is less than equal to the answer, okay, and is less than equal to 3. Okay, so you can put, well, y can't be there because y could be, for example, minus 10, right? So it won't be y over here. It will be a number between 1 and 3 because we're picking the maximum of 1 and y is less than equal to 3. So yeah. So I'm not sure what you're saying, but as I understand, we have 1 on the one side and 3 on the upper limit. Okay, so we can't really say what the answer will be until we actually evaluate this x, right? Until we actually know what the value of x is, because if x, for example, is 2, then the answer is going to be 2. Okay, so if x is equal to 2, then the minimum of these two will be, y will be equal to 2. And when you're choosing the max between 1 and 2, it will be 2. Okay, I hope I haven't lost anybody. So the point is that what do we learn from these two examples? What have we learned here? Can we, in all cases, neglect this last portion? This refers to the last portion over here. Can we always neglect evaluating this, or does it depend? It depends. It depends on the other values. Okay. So now it depends on the order in which you're actually doing the evaluation, and it depends on the actual values. So if you found the optimal value over here, then if it's, for example, in an ordered way, okay, your answer is right over here, the optimal solution is right over here, then it turns out that the rest of it may not be evaluated. Okay, as in this case, for example, when I showed you 3, 2, 1, and 10, in this case, the answer was right over here. Okay, but in this case, the answer was over here. It was later on. So if the solution, if the numbers over here are ordered in such a way that right at the beginning you find the solution, then your search could be vastly reduced. Okay, and you may not have to evaluate parts of that tree. Now the question is, how do you determine what parts of the tree to evaluate or not? Okay, can you think of an algorithm which can actually solve this problem? When do we decide when to evaluate parts of the tree or not? In this case, it may or may not have been obvious. Okay, here in this particular case, can you sort of give an intuitive answer as to why we didn't have to evaluate X? So what's in these numbers 3, 2, 1, and 10, which indicated that we didn't have to evaluate the number 10? Yeah. So basically what you're saying is that the minimum of these two and this number over here, this number was actually lower than these two numbers, right? So 3, 2 were larger numbers, and 1 and 10 had a number which was a smaller number. Okay, but it becomes a bit difficult to create a general. So you might want to, think about, can you write an algorithm which will actually solve this problem so that parts of the tree will not be evaluated? G. So if the minimum value of these two is larger than the minimum value of the remaining tree. So you're sort of getting at the algorithm. You can see that you can start thinking of how to come up with an algorithm which would actually take a general purpose tree and be able to figure out how the minimax algorithm could actually be made simpler. Okay. So let's now, and now people have obviously worked on the algorithm and they've actually found a solution. So you don't necessarily have to rack your brains, but maybe you can come up with a better algorithm as well. I'll show you one algorithm which works, but you can also try and come up with your own algorithm. G. No, in the second case, we're saying that you have to evaluate X. Sorry? In this case, we were not. So here, X was not being evaluated. Okay, we didn't have to evaluate X because we knew that this number over here, the Y value was less than equal to 1. Okay, if it's less than equal to 1, then the maximum of 2 and Y is going to be 2 when Y is less than equal to 1, in which case we didn't have to evaluate X. Okay, but in the second case, we did have to evaluate X. Why? Because this number over here was larger than the minimum of these two. Another question? You have to speak a little louder than that. Okay, this auditorium is too big for me to completely understand, but I basically what you seem to be implying is that we need to do the actual evaluation, and somehow based on the results, we need to decide whether we need to evaluate certain portions of the tree. Now, you know what an algorithm is. An algorithm does not rely on specific numerical values. Otherwise, it's not an algorithm. So you have to keep it in terms of general variables, right? X, Y, you could have variables assigned to, for example, the minimum value and the minimum value, the second minimum value. And then you need to, when you're coming up with an algorithm, you have to have a generic algorithm. Okay. So this could be, you could come up with a generic algorithm, but let me just show you an algorithm which actually works. Okay. And I looked at different algorithms. They're all sort of the same. It's called alpha beta pruning. Okay. So, and the concept is still the same. Okay, the concept is still the same, which basically is identified by the problem that we showed. But if you look at the way it's been described online, you'll find different ways of describing it. Some of them are more complex than the others. I'm going to use a methodology which I found fairly straightforward. I've seen other solutions on Berkeley and Stanford's, and those were kind of complex and perhaps not so easy to follow. Okay, so alpha beta pruning basically relies on two parameters, alpha and beta. And to put it simply, alpha can be thought of as the highest value. Okay, so just remember this term, the highest value that you've achieved, and beta is the lowest value. So if you go back over here in this tree, then beta would refer to something related to the min player. Okay, so beta would be referring something to the min player, and alpha would be referring to the max player. Okay, so remember that as we go forward. Now let's take a look at the algorithm and see how it works. It's a little complex, and you may have to listen to this recording. Hopefully it's working a few times before you finally get it, but let's give it a shot. Okay, so you start off now. Alpha is a max value. Okay, and beta is a min value. We'll start off by taking the opposite values. So we'll make alpha not the highest number, but the lowest number that you can imagine, which is -infinity. Similarly, we'll make beta to be the highest number, and that will be +infinity. Okay, so these are opposite values as to what they're trying to eventually achieve. Okay, now alpha is trying to go up. So alpha is going to start at -infinity. And hopefully at the end of the algorithm, alpha will tell you what the minimax value is for the max player. So this is all designed for the max player, and it may have, a number of the depth could be variable. It doesn't have to be a 4, for example, a 4-ply game. It could be 400-ply game, but the algorithm will work. Okay, G. Sorry. So the reason is kind of obvious. You're trying to make alpha the maximum. Alpha has to finally give you the answer for the minimax value for the max. Okay, so it has to achieve a certain maximum. Okay, if it has to go rise up to the maximum, you want it to start off from the absolute minimum possible. Okay, so you start off at -infinity, and slowly it's going to go upwards and upwards, and will reach some value which will tell you the max value. So in this case, if you sort of work it out, the answer I'm telling you beforehand will be 3. So hopefully alpha will be if you just work through it, you can see that the answer will be +3. Okay, so alpha will eventually come up to +3. Okay, now beta is what the min player is trying to make max's value. So it's trying to minimize it. Okay, so beta is going to start off with +infinity and will slowly go lower and lower and lower. Okay, so you get the concept, what it's trying to do. So starting with those initial values, we're going to go downwards. Okay, we'll replicate the alpha and beta values downwards. Okay, so this becomes simply the same as over here. -infinity comes here and +infinity comes over here. Again, this keeps on going downwards all the way until you get to the first leaf of the tree. Okay, so here you have alpha is equal to -infinity and beta is equal to +infinity. Now, the first thing that whenever you're trying to evaluate a branch, the condition that it's going to check is whether alpha is greater than or equal to beta or not. Okay, this is a condition that is going to always check. Now over here, is alpha greater than or equal to beta? -infinity obviously is not greater than or equal to +infinity. So we're going to evaluate the left branch. Okay, we look at with the minimum player. Another thing that I forgot to mention is that in each one of these layers, as we go forward, we're going to only change one of these parameters. At the max layer, we're going to change the alpha parameter. In the min layer, we're going to change the beta parameter. max layer, we're going to change the alpha parameter. In the min layer, we're going to change the beta parameter. Okay, so the rules of the game are so far so clear. Now, alpha is not greater than or equal to beta. We're going to use the simple logic that we want to, as in the past, we're going to select between, we're going to look at 3 and we're going to compare it with beta. If 3 is larger, because beta is now trying to rise, okay, starting from, sorry, it's trying to go down. So starting with plus infinity, it's going to go down. Which value is it going to choose? Well, it's only looking at 3 right now. So it's going to make it 3 because 3 is less than infinity and it's trying to pull the max layer down. Okay. Is alpha still greater than equal to, is alpha greater than equal to beta? Alpha is minus infinity, beta is now 3. We're only assigning the beta value. नहीं, वो हम minimax नहीं कर रहे हैं. We're not using the minimax algorithm. We're simply using the alpha beta pruning algorithm. So it's not going to use minimax. This is an alternate algorithm. ठीक है? You can do that in your head, but that's not part of the algorithm. So we're going leftwise, okay? So the assumption is that you're sort of doing a depth first search and you're going in the left direction first, okay? So it's somewhat random, but we have to start somewhere. So we naturally start from the left, okay? So if you come over here, we've made beta is equal to 3. Now the question is, before we evaluate this, we're going to do what test? We're going to do this test. Is alpha greater than or equal to beta? No. So now we need to evaluate that branch, okay? And we're going to change, which value are we going to change? We're only going to change the beta value in this level, okay? What is beta going to check? Is the value of beta, is the value over here, is that less than equal to current beta? Because we're trying to minimize beta. That's not, so we retain the value of beta at 3, okay? So it continues to be value of 3. We're going to go upwards now, okay? Now, what are we going to do? We're going to update the alpha value at the next layer, okay? Only the alpha value. How do we update the alpha value? The alpha value is going to be based on the beta values in the layer below, okay? Alpha value is going to be based on the beta values of the layer below. And since alpha is trying to become maximum, it will choose the largest value of the beta. Okay, beta over here is 3 right now. We haven't done this evaluation over here, by the way. We've only done part of the tree. So beta is equal to 3. So we're going to make alpha equal to, alpha is going to become equal to the largest value of beta, which is here is 3. Okay. Now, before we evaluate the right portion of the graph, we're going to do the test. Is alpha greater than beta? Is 3 greater than equal to infinity? No, last time we checked. So what we're going to do is we're going to go downwards again and we're going to replicate the values. Okay, so we're going to replicate the values. Alpha is going to be now equal to 3. Beta is going to be equal to plus infinity. Okay, obviously the same condition holds. Alpha is still not greater than equal to beta. So now we're going to evaluate this as well. Okay, the portions which we evaluated, I'm marking with a tick. Now we're going to again update the beta value over here. So beta right now is plus infinity. We're going to look at the leaf value over here, 2. Is beta smaller or is 2 smaller? 2. So what are we going to do? We're going to replace beta with the value of 2. Okay. So now beta is equal to 2. So far, so good. Now we're going to go and see whether the condition is met or not. Is alpha greater than or equal to beta? Yes, so it's finally is greater than or equal to beta. In that case, what we're going to say, we're going to prune this particular portion of the tree. Okay. Now, if you think about it, why did we prune this? If you look at the logic, and now let's go back to the minimax algorithm. If you look at the minimax algorithm, it would say that beta is selecting the smaller value between 3 and 10. So it would have selected 3 over here, okay? And it would have selected a -5 over here because it would have chosen the smaller value of 2 and -5. Okay. Now, when you've already evaluated 2 over here, this other value is, this 2 value is less than equal to the minimax value over here. Okay. And because alpha is going to pick the bigger of these two, then clearly if this value is less than equal to 2, then obviously this portion of the tree, again, as we saw before, does not need to be evaluated. Okay, just like we saw in the first example. So essentially what alpha beta pruning has been able to do is to come up with a generic algorithm and to be able to say that in certain conditions, a certain entire portion of the tree does not have to be evaluated. Okay, so it's a fairly interesting and tricky solution to a problem. I'm not sure who came up with this solution. I haven't checked that out. But if you guys come up with a better algorithm, go for it. Okay. So let's keep going. So let's take a look at another portion of it. So now what's going to happen? We found alpha value and a beta value. We're going to go up the tree again. And now what is going to be updated? Alpha value. Alpha is going to be the bigger of what? The two beta values. The two beta values are what? 3 and 2. So does alpha change? Alpha doesn't change, right? Because it's already got the bigger value. So, sorry? Sorry? -5 over here. Over here. That was just to show you how the minimax algorithm works. Okay? So that's not being used here, but I'm just showing you if minimax had been used, then -5 would have come up. Okay? But minimax is not being used. So we figured out the alpha value and beta is not being changed, so beta goes unchanged. What should we do next? Now somebody tell me. Now the rest of the algorithm is the same, it's a replica. So somebody now has to tell me what the algorithm should proceed. I'm not going to do it, you guys do it. So we're going to change the beta value. What are we going to do over here? It's going to be based on what? The alpha value. And since beta, and so what should it be? 3. Why is that? Because beta is coming down and we can see that 3 is less than equal to infinity. Okay. And now what are we going to do? G. This alpha value here and the alpha value over here and the, sorry, over here we're looking, when we're looking at 3, when we're updating alpha over here, that's what you're asking. So we're looking at the beta values over here, this beta value and this beta value. So remember what we did over here, we looked at the beta value, it came down over here from the top, was initially infinity, and then we looked at this particular leaf. We did look at the left side, and we said is 2 less than infinity, and so we updated the beta value. We did update it. We didn't look at this portion, but the left portion of the tree was able to change the beta value. Is that clear? G. Is that clear, first of all? Okay, you lost. At what point did you get lost? This portion, right? My right. Okay, so when we did 3 and 10, yeah. Yeah. Right. And then we did what? We didn't move up right there. So what we're doing is we're going this way. We went from here to here, okay, and then we went here, and then we're going downwards. So over here we updated the alpha value, okay, to be the beta values, which were the largest. So the beta value over here was 3, okay, and we didn't use infinity over here, but we used 3, okay. Yeah. Yes, we did. We did visit it. Why? Because we looked at the comparison of alpha is greater than or equal to beta. And since alpha over here was not greater than or equal to beta, we did evaluate this. Okay. So that every time you go downwards, you do that evaluation whether alpha is greater than or equal to beta. Okay, so that's going to become complex, and we look at other examples over here. So let's just keep looking through a particular example, and as you see other examples, you'll be able to get a better understanding rather than me making the screen extremely messed up. Okay, Ji. Ji, we have to store the alpha beta values at every node, but we only changing the alpha or the beta values, certain values. All right. So at the minimum level, at the min layer, we only going to change the beta values. At the max level, we only going to change the alpha values. Okay. Right. No, so the beta value is not going to be changed. We're only going to change the alpha value at that level, at the max level, layer level. Okay. So beta value was already there. Remember when he copied it downwards, it wasn't changed. Okay. We're only going to change it when the rule allows. G. 2 against -5. So we're not doing this. You see, that's the whole point. When we looked at this condition, we saw that alpha was 3 and beta was already 2 based on this. Okay. Because alpha was greater than or equal to beta, we did not evaluate that particular portion. Okay. So this was pruned, and these two lines over here indicate that this was pruned, and that's why it's called alpha beta pruning. It basically implies that you're not even going to look at that particular portion of the tree because alpha is greater than or equal to beta. Yeah. If alpha could be equal to beta or it could be greater than, if that condition happens at any particular node, then we're not going to look at the rest of the tree. Okay. Okay, so the benefit, as you saw, that we didn't have to actually do this evaluation. Okay, that particular portion of the tree did not have to be evaluated. So in other words, so far we only had to evaluate 3, 10, 2. We didn't have to evaluate -5. So you can see out of 4 comparisons, the order of magnitude of this is what? The complexity is what? What's the complexity of this algorithm? B to the power m for the normal minimax algorithm, because it's evaluating exhaustively, right? Now b to the power m would imply how many? What's the order over here? What's b over here? B is the number of branches, so it's 2. And what's m? M is the depth, so it's going to be 4. Okay, max min 4 levels. All right. So essentially, this comes out to be order of 2 to the power 4 is 16. Okay, and you can see that there are 16 leaves over here. Now, normally you would have to, the maximum worst case would be you would have to evaluate all of those if you were doing the minimax algorithm. However, now what we're doing is we've evaluated 3 of those and we didn't have to evaluate 1 of them. So we've cut down a little bit. Now it seems like, it doesn't seem to be a very useful algorithm, but as we go bigger and bigger, you'll realize that certain entire portions of the tree may not have to be evaluated. So the complexity of the algorithm can become significantly reduced. Okay, G. You have to speak up. This is a big auditorium. So yes, so it is possible that in the worst case scenario, the absolute worst case, you may have to evaluate all of them. Yeah, that is, in worst case scenarios, that is possible. But the real question is, what is the optimal situation and what's the mean or the average situation? Okay. So the best case, the worst case, and the expected scenario. So it's good. It's a good point. You have to look at all 3 scenarios. So so far, what do you think is you've already answered the worst case scenario. What do you think? What do you think is going to be the best case scenario? And when would you have the best case scenario, and how much of the tree would you actually not have to evaluate? Sorry, half of the tree. So somebody's saying maybe half of the tree we may not have to evaluate. You think that makes sense? G? Log, you are talking about the log value, right? Yeah, so we'll look at it later on. So keep that thought in mind, and let's go forward and see how much of the tree is actually cut out based on this algorithm. Okay, so we went all the way up. So we went downwards. We didn't evaluate this portion, and then we went upwards. We've already evaluated both sides, so now we're going to go move upwards. We made beta equal to 3 based on the alpha value over here. Now the question is, does this need to be evaluated? Is alpha greater than or equal to 3? No. So we're going to evaluate it. So we're going to set alpha is equal to minus infinity, beta is equal to 3, alpha is equal to minus infinity, beta is equal to 3. We have to evaluate this guy over here. Is 3 smaller or 4 smaller? 3 smaller, so do nothing. Is 3 smaller or 5 smaller? 3 smaller, so we don't do anything. We evaluate both of these. And now we're going to go upwards. Now what's going to happen? What's going to happen over here? Alpha is going to change to what? 2? 3. Okay. So alpha is going to change to 3. Why? Because the beta value was 3. What's going to happen next? Sorry? We won't go downwards. Very good. So we're actually going to prune this entire portion because alpha is equal to beta. Okay. So this condition has been evaluated. So we've just realized that now out of 8 of these, how many did we actually have to be crossed out? We didn't do these 2. We did all of these. So we didn't evaluate out of 8. We only evaluated 5 out of 8. Okay. So far it seems like your suggestion that half of the tree will not have to be evaluated seems to be right. Okay. Let's keep going. Just for practice, the rest of it can be fairly straightforward. What will happen now? We've pruned this portion. What are we going to do next? We're going to go upwards again.
सर
जी
सर हमने जो बिल्कुल टॉप पे उस पे हमने अल्फा को अपडेट नहीं किया.
No, we're only going level by level. So if you follow this, what we're going is going here, and then we're going downwards. Okay, we're going downwards. We went all the way up till here. We went here, then we went back upwards, and then when we were going here, we realized that this tree can be pruned. Okay, so this is the sort of the depth first search technique that we're following over here. Okay, so now we've pruned this portion. Now we're going upwards again. What are we going to do over here? Are we going to change so we're going to update the beta value. Does beta need to be updated? Both alphas are the same, so beta is not going to be changed. It's going to continue to be 3. Now we go upwards, backwards, all the way up to the top. Now what are we going to do? As alpha is going to be changed to what? Alpha is going to be changed to 3. Okay. So is 3 greater than or equal to infinity? Before we go here, is 3 greater than or equal to infinity? No, unfortunately not. So we have to evaluate this portion as well. Okay. We bring the values down. So alpha is now equal to 3, beta is equal to plus infinity, alpha is equal to 3, beta is equal to plus infinity, alpha is equal to 3, beta is equal to plus infinity. And then we check this. Is 2 smaller or infinity smaller? So we're going to make beta equal to 2. Okay. Now what's going to be next? Alpha is greater than beta, so we're going to prune this. Okay. So you see another example of pruning. As you go upwards, what are we going to do? What is going to change over here? Alpha is going to change. So alpha is going to be based on the beta value. So alpha over here is going to be reduced to 2. Okay. Sorry. Alpha is going to be based on beta value. So your point is alpha is already greater than a beta. That's a good point. I forget what the algorithm is supposed to do. alpha is going to keep on going up. So you're right. I think this will not happen, but we'll double check that in a minute. Okay. So this does not change. Okay. Let's keep going downwards. So is alpha greater than beta? No. So we're going to evaluate. We're going to keep going downwards. Alpha is equal to, whoa. So alpha is equal to 3, beta is equal to infinity. And then we're going to say, is beta going to become what? -7 over here. We're going to evaluate this portion. And then the question is, are we going to evaluate this? No, because alpha is greater than beta. We're going to go upwards again. We're going to evaluate alpha, and alpha will remain as 3. Okay. We're going to, when we go upwards, we've gone here. We didn't go here. We went upwards. We went all the way down over here. And then we didn't go here. We went upwards. And now we're going to continue our path over here. Does beta need to be updated? Beta is going to become equal to 3. What do we do next? Okay. So that's a good point. Let's come back to that. I forget the exact algorithm, but let's come back to that. Okay. But here, alpha is, so beta is going to be changed to 3. Why? Because it's going to use the minimum value of alpha over here, the value of alpha over here. So beta is now going to become 3. So now what do we do? So this entire portion is going to be pruned. Okay. So how much did we gain? We didn't do these. We didn't do these. So how much did we actually evaluate? 5. We evaluated this 6. And we evaluated this 5, 6, 7. So we evaluated 7 out of 16 of the branches. Okay. So it's still possible that you're right, that it seems like in this particular case, you evaluated half of the possible tree. Okay. So evaluating half is not really nice. I mean, somebody mentioned log over there. G. So as the tree, so you have the right notion. What you're saying is that as the tree becomes bigger, we're probably going to gain more than just half. That's your guess. And that was also the guess from somebody on the other side. So what's the answer? It's a bit tricky to evaluate, but I can tell you what the answers are. Let's, by the way, check whether alpha, yeah, alpha does not change in this case. Okay, so that's what I have. So alpha does not become smaller, it continues to become big. Okay, because we're trying to make alpha maximum. This was my earlier algorithm. Okay, so I've shown alpha and beta as A and B because it's kind of tricky for me to show it as, so alpha is changing over here to 2. I'm not 100% sure exactly. It won't make a difference on the algorithm, but we can double check the actual algorithm. Okay, it's kind of homework for all of you, all right? And for me as well. We'll double check whether alpha will change to become smaller or not. Okay, but you have the basic idea of the algorithm. Okay, and whether alpha does become smaller or not, I think will not impact the result. Okay, that's just my hunch. So now, if you look at the reduction in the algorithm, you can see that instead of going from order of 16, we came down to 7 over here, as we already saw. Okay. Now the question is, what's the actual algorithm? And some of you had an idea that it might actually be reduced logarithmically. Okay. So let me just tell you what the best case scenario is. The best case scenario is that it will go down from order, instead of b to the power m, it will come down to b to the power m upon 2. Okay. Now what does that mean? Is this half? Is this more than half? So b to the power m upon 2 can be written as b to the power m to the power half, which basically means b to the power m square root of that, right? So the complexity has been reduce this is the best case. Okay, best case. And the best case, when do you think the best case will happen? Yeah, so it will still have to do some of it. It's not going to be as simple as you know, even if in this particular example, I've actually shown you the solution. So alpha comes out to be 3 over here. And if you look at the solution of this, you can see that this is 3, this is going to be 3 over here. Let's just do minimax algorithm over here. So that's going to be -5 over here. That's going to choose 3 between 3 and -5. This is going to choose 4 over here between these two. So beta B is going to be 4 over here. I'm doing the minimax right now. Okay. Between these two, it's going to check -5 over here. Okay. And between these two, it's going to make 4 over here. The minimax value is going to be 4. Between these two, the min is going to choose the minimax value as 3 over here. Let's do the rest of it. So between these two, it's going to select 2, the minimum value. This is going to select -7 over here. This is going to select -6 over here. This is going to select 3 over here. Between these two values, it's going to select the larger value, 2 over here. G. -9, sorry, that's going to be, so yeah, you're right. So it's selecting -9 over here. So yeah, you're right. So it's going to select -9 over here, but this is going to choose the bigger of the two. So regardless, it's going to become 2 over here. Okay. Here it's going to be -6 and 3 is going to pick the bigger of the two. So that's going to be select 3 over here. The min is going to select 2 over here. And over here, the min is going to be between 3 and 4, which is going to be 3. So the max is going to select either 3 or 2. So you can see it's going to select the maximum value is going to be 3 over here. So the minimax algorithm is going to select this value, and you can see that it got the optimal solution over here. So this was sort of an optimal solution because it seemed to have the first path actually gave it the right result. So that's why a lot of the tree was not evaluated. But it still wasn't exactly the optimal scenario because the rest of it was kind of unordered. Okay, but if you work on this and if you can make it in such a way that it's completely ordered, you might find that it might actually go even less than 7. Okay, so that's sort of an exercise for you. Think about it, and if you change the ordering of these, you might actually find that you may prune more of it. So ideally, it should be able to prune how much order of b to the power m, and square root of that comes out to be square root of 16, which is supposed to be order of 4. So as an exercise, you might want to figure out, can you order it in such a way that only 4 of the leaves have to be examined? Okay, that's just an exercise. So that's the best case scenario. Okay. What is if it's randomly ordered? Okay, if it's random, what's the complexity? Any guesses? So here it was b to the power m upon 2, right? This was the best case scenario. So any thoughts as to what it would come down to? It would be obviously worse, right? Or b to the power m, it would remain the same. What you're saying is that if it was random, it would probably not change. How many people agree or disagree? Disagree? You're agreeing, okay. So the random is basically saying that this was kind of a random. Basically, we're saying that the order of the leaves values are completely random. For example, when would it not be random? If you can somehow order your choices in such a way that you're not making random guesses. Okay, so for example, when you're coming to IBA in the morning, all right, you're not making random choices, right? You're not going hither and thither, right? You actually have some idea as to which direction to choose. If, for example, if you're playing chess, how could you order it in such a way that you're making the right choices first? based on maybe heuristics. How could you change how could you have a mechanism of choosing in chess so that you the first time that when you play chess, and your elder brother or father taught you how to play chess, or mother, what did they tell you? Should you lose a pawn or should you lose a queen? Pawn, right? Pawn, pyade wale, those are easily, you can get rid of those. Similarly, you had a hierarchy, right? So, a bishop was probably more valuable than a rook and so on. And ultimately it was a king. So you might have some kind of an ordering in which you might say, well, if it's a pawn, then I don't mind losing it. But if it's a queen, I don't want to lose it, right? So you could have some rules of thumb which will allow you to make more decisions which are slightly better informed, okay? Slightly better choices. So if you can order your results in such a way that you're making better informed decisions, then you can automatically reduce the tree search. Okay. So ideally, if you can do that for chess, you might be able to, instead of going that example where you had Deep Blue playing with Kasparov, it probably used this alpha beta pruning example, right? So in this case, how much do you think it reduced it by? So 35 to the power of, come down to what? 20, right? 40 divided by 2. This would be the optimal. So if it had some really good intuition about what choices to make and was able to order its choices, then it could come down to as small as 35 to the power of 20. Now you can imagine what a huge reduction that is. Okay. So so in this particular case, in the random case, we had some thoughts. What do you think is the best possible solution in the random case? How much do you think it might change? 75%. All right. I don't know if you've seen the answer somewhere, but that's a very good guess. It's actually exactly that. So it's 3/4 of m, not of b. Okay. That's a big difference between 3/4 of b to the power m versus making the power over here 3/4. Okay. That's a big change. So for example, if you have, in our case, how much will it be reduced by? So you have 2 to the power of 4. Now that would become 3/4, right? In our case, the earlier example. So it will become 2 to the power 3, which would become order of 8. Okay. Not a big reduction in this particular case, but you can imagine in chess, it would become order of 35 to the power 40. Instead of 40, you would have 3/4. So you'd have 10, so it would be 30. So 35 to the power of 30. That you can imagine is a huge reduction in terms of the space, okay, and as well as time.